Traveling should be an exciting adventure, right? But what if I told you that almost 80% of travelers say all the places they visit start to feel the same? Shocking, isn't it? A 2022 study by the World Tourism Organization revealed that over 1.5 billion international tourist arrivals occur each year. With so many people visiting popular spots, it's no wonder cities are struggling to keep their unique identities. Think about it. When was the last time you stepped off a plane and felt like you were in a completely different world? Instead, travelers are often greeted by familiar brands, crowded attractions, and a feeling of déjà vu. With global chains dominating city streets and Instagram hotspots filling our feeds, destinations are blending together into one big travel blur. In this video, we'll explore how travel trends are transforming our experiences and making every place feel alike. We'll dive into cookie-cutter itineraries, the Instagram effect, and the rise of global brands. But don't worry, we'll also share strategies to rediscover the authentic magic of travel. So, if you're ready to find out how to make your travels unique again, stick around. Chapter 1. Cookie-cutter itineraries. Why travel now feels like a checklist. Travel today feels more like a task list than an adventure. You've likely seen it yourself. People hopping from one famous landmark to another, barely pausing for a breath. According to a 2023 survey by Expedia, 55% of travelers feel pressured to see as much as possible when they go somewhere new. But why? Part of it comes from travel guides and influencers showcasing the same, must-see, spots. It seems like if you don't hit every major site, your trip isn't complete. But that mindset is killing the joy of exploration. Instead of wandering through side streets or chatting with locals, tourists now follow the same well-trodden path. As travel expert Rick Steves put it, the less you see, the more you'll experience. These cookie-cutter itineraries take away the spontaneity that used to make travel exciting. It's as if every traveler has the same experience, just in different locations. What's worse is how much we miss out on the hidden gems that don't make it to Instagram. By rushing to check things off a list, we're skipping over moments that could make our trips memorable and personal. So, how do we break free? One strategy is to slow down. Instead of cramming your schedule, pick fewer spots and explore them in depth. Another is to ditch the guidebook now and then. Use apps like Spotted by Locals, which recommends places locals love, not just the tourist traps. The goal is to create your own unique adventure, not just mimic someone else's. Chapter 2. The Instagram effect. Picture perfect, but soulless? In the age of Instagram, travel is often about capturing the perfect shot rather than enjoying the moment. There's even a term for it, the Instagram effect. Data from the Vacationers 2022 survey shows that 48% of travelers choose destinations based on social media. While this has made once unique places famous, it has also stripped them of their charm. When we prioritize the gram, we miss the essence of a place. Think of Santorini, Greece. Its iconic whitewashed buildings with blue roofs have become so famous that visitors crowd the same narrow streets to get that one photo. But how many people stay long enough to learn about its culture, food, or history? According to travel journalist Elizabeth Becker, tourism is no longer about discovery. It's about proof that you've been there. She's right. The obsession with visual proof, especially on Instagram, has created a sense of sameness. Destinations lose their individuality as travelers flock to the same photogenic spots over and over again. What can we do to avoid falling into this trap? For starters, focus on experiences rather than just photos. Visit markets, take a cooking class, or spend time with locals. Capture memories that aren't just for social media but for yourself. You can still take photos, but don't make them the purpose of your trip. Let the pictures serve as a reminder of the experiences, not as the highlight of your travels. Chapter 3. Cafes and copycats. Global brands over local flavor. Another trend making destinations feel the same is the spread of global chains. Think about it. You land in a new country, eager to dive into its culture, but the first thing you see is a Starbucks or a McDonald's. It's comforting, sure, but it's also erasing local businesses and culture. In fact, the hospitality consulting firm, Cushman & Wakefield, reported in 2020 that global food chains had grown by 20% in cities with high tourist traffic over the past decade. While there's nothing wrong with grabbing a familiar coffee or burger once in a while, the problem is how these brands take over local markets. In some cities, mom and pop cafes and eateries are pushed out because they can't compete with the marketing power and convenience of big chains. Paris, for example, is famous for its cafe culture, but local cafe owners have been struggling to keep up with the wave of international coffee shops popping up on every corner. This shift makes cities less unique. What once made a place special, its food, atmosphere, and local businesses, starts to vanish. A study published by the Journal of Destination Marketing and Management found that 64% of travelers said they were disappointed when a destination felt too much like home. So, how do we fix this? Seek out local spots. Use apps like Happy Cow or Local Eats to find restaurants and cafes that are unique to the area. When traveling, make it a point to skip the chains and support local businesses. It's one of the best ways to experience a city's true culture. Plus, you'll be helping keep that city's identity alive for future travelers. Chapter 4. Cultural Cloning. How over-tourism dilutes local identity. Over-tourism has become a real issue in many parts of the world, and it's causing local cultures to lose their unique identities. The numbers are staggering. According to the World Travel and Tourism Council, in 2023, 20% of popular tourist destinations faced significant damage from overcrowding. As a result, many places start adapting to tourists rather than preserving their own traditions. Take Venice, for example. It's one of the most over-touristed cities in the world. Around 30 million people visit each year, but only about 50,000 Venetians still live there. Many locals have been pushed out because the city caters more to tourists than to its own residents. A similar situation can be seen in Bali, where cultural performances once meant for locals are now staged daily just for tourists. It's easy to see how this cultural cloning happens. Local customs are watered down to make them more palatable for visitors. Restaurants switch to menus in multiple languages, shops sell mass-produced souvenirs, and performances lose their authenticity. In the end, everything starts to look and feel the same, no matter where you are. So, how can we avoid contributing to this? The key is to be a mindful traveler. Before you visit a place, do some research. Learn about the local customs and traditions, and show respect for them. Don't expect the destination to cater to your preferences, instead, be open to experiencing things as they are. Support businesses that prioritize preserving the local culture rather than bending to tourist demands. You can even book experiences with local guides who are passionate about sharing their traditions in an authentic way. Chapter 5. Airbnb Everywhere. The rise of generic lodging. Airbnb has revolutionized the way people travel, but not always for the better. What started as a way to stay in unique, local homes has turned into a business that's reshaping cities. Data from Inside Airbnb shows that in cities like Barcelona and Amsterdam, more than 20% of housing in tourist-heavy areas is now rented out on short-term platforms like Airbnb. This often means that local residents are priced out of their own neighborhoods. Another issue with Airbnb is the standardization of its properties. Originally, it was meant to offer a local experience, staying in someone's home, complete with their personal touches. But now, many Airbnb listings are run by companies or property owners who aim for a sleek, uniform look. So, whether you're in Paris or Tokyo, you might find yourself in a space that feels generic. It's clean, modern, and oddly familiar. This trend leads to what's been called Airbnb-ification. Rather than connecting travelers to local communities, these stays are making destinations feel more like just another stop on a global circuit of similar properties. Instead of immersing yourself in the culture, you're staying in a room that could be anywhere. How can travelers find more authentic places to stay? One strategy is to seek out accommodations owned by locals, not companies. Look for smaller bed and breakfasts, boutique hotels, or even traditional guest houses. Websites like homestay.com or Welcome Beyond feature places where you can interact with local hosts and experience the true spirit of the location. By choosing these options, you're more likely to stay in a place that reflects the local culture. Chapter 6. The Hunt for the Authentic. Can we ever go back? With travel becoming increasingly standardized, many people wonder if we can ever return to the days of authentic, unique experiences. It's a valid question. As more destinations cater to the demands of mass tourism, they risk losing what makes them special. But there's hope. In fact, a 2022 survey by Booking.com found that 63% of travelers are actively seeking more authentic travel experiences. One promising trend is the rise of slow travel. This movement encourages people to spend more time in one place, really getting to know the local culture and people. Rather than racing from one landmark to the next, slow travelers might stay in a small village, shop at local markets, or take part in community events. It's a way to push back against the fast-paced, homogenized travel experience and reconnect with the real essence of a place. Another strategy is to avoid peak tourist seasons. You'd be surprised how different a destination can feel when you visit at a quieter time of year. For example, Paris in the spring may be packed with tourists, but in late autumn, you can wander through the same streets with plenty of breathing room and enjoy a more relaxed, authentic atmosphere. There's also a growing trend of regenerative tourism. This concept goes beyond sustainability. It's about leaving a destination better than you found it. This might mean supporting local conservation efforts, choosing eco-friendly accommodations, or volunteering with organizations that benefit the local community. As travel writer Costas Christ said, travel should not just be about minimizing our impact, but actively improving the places we visit. Ultimately, the key to keeping travel authentic is to be intentional about how we explore the world. By making thoughtful choices, whether it's where we stay, what we eat, or how we interact with locals, we can help preserve the uniqueness of the destinations we love. Instead of following the crowd, be the kind of traveler who seeks out the hidden stories, the lesser-known experiences, and the true heart of a place.